Good morning, everybody, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning as we are studying together Perashat Hukat. Of course, Perashat Hukat is known for the sin of Moshe hitting the rock. And what exactly was his sin is not clear. Rabu Bo HaMefarshim, many commentaries trying to explain and understand what it is that Moshe did wrong. Far be it from us to judge or criticize or condemn Moshe Rabbeinu, chas v'shalom. We don't even come anywhere near to talk about him. But we are, of course, studying these parashiot, and the Torah writes the mistakes, and you know, the Torah, the other religions, they try to hide and they try to whitewash, and they make their leaders as if they were saints and they never sinned and they were perfect. No, not for our religion and not for our Torah. Our Torah has no problem exposing a sinner, or at least a tzaddik who did a sin. You did a sin, we're going to call you out for it. There's no protectia in Judaism. What you did is what you're going to get punished for. If it was good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. We're not going to cover it up just because you're a good guy. Nothing slides. Avraham is exposed when he does something wrong. Moshe Rabbeinu, Yaakov, everybody is held accountable for their mistakes. Torah is not shy and afraid to write them down when we can learn from these lessons. What exactly is Moshe Rabbeinu's sin? According to Rashi, he hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock. Again, why is that so bad? Different ways of understanding Rashi. Today, I would like to present, and I don't want to elaborate too much, but just to touch on the Rambam, Maimonides. Rambam in his introduction to the Shmona Prakim. In the fourth chapter of the Shmona Prakim, which is his introduction, I believe, to Pirkei Avot, the Rambam over there, he has a lot of very important values in Judaism, and a lot of important rules. And he explains different things. And he says Moshe Rabbeinu's sin is that he was leaning letzad haragzanut. Meaning, the Rambam is known, and we've discussed this Rambam, that in life, when it comes to different character and de'ot, we should always be in the middle. Not too giving, because then you won't have anything for yourself, but not stingy. In the middle. Whatever the middle is, there's 10%, 20%. If you have a lot of money, you could give 50%. Whatever, right? I'm talking about a lot, okay? Right? So, middle is good. How happy should I be? Well, don't laugh all day long. Life isn't, like a joke. But you shouldn't be serious. You should be in the middle. As well, when it comes to getting angry. A person shouldn't be a pushover, but a person shouldn't be ragzani. A person shouldn't get agitated. A person should be in the middle. And Moshe over here says that Rambam leaned too much to the extreme of anger. When he says to the people, Shim'u na hamorim, listen, you teachers, or you rebels. Now, it's really, what's the big deal if he called them his teachers? It's nice, no? What's wrong with calling them teachers? But either way, Hashem was very precise, and this is going back to the famous rule that Hashem is medakdek with the tzaddikim. He's extra precise, very delicate. A regular person could do a very big sin and God forgives them. A very big person does a very small sin and God is precise. And therefore, someone like Moshe should not get angry, especially in front of the people, and because they're going to see him and how he acted, and it's going to cause a chilul Hashem, etc. So today, with your permission, I would like to speak about something that we are all plagued by, something that we all struggle with, and that is anger. Okay? We may have discussed it in the past, but it's always worth reviewing and repeating. Anger, in Hebrew, it's ko'es. Our rabbis tell us, Kol ha-ko'es ki'ilu oved avodah zarah. Anyone that is angry is as if they are guilty of idol worship. Now that's a very serious statement. To get angry, I'm guilty of idol worship. To understand anger, I would like to bring a preface. I would like to introduce it with the words of Rabbi Twersky. Rabbi Twersky writes something very, very powerful. He says that actually the word in Hebrew for anger, ka'as, could mean three different things. There are three phases to anger. The first phase is the feeling. Somebody upsets us. That feeling, right away, we weren't invited to a party, something happened, someone didn't listen to us, something spilled on our shirt, we get the feeling, that's anger. That's one stage of anger. Then there's our reaction to that feeling. Now that you're angry, what are you going to do with it? That's a reaction. And then there's the holding on to the anger. And the three different, in English, we could actually give a different word for each. Okay, so the feeling of anger we could call angry, to be angry. There's the reaction, that's phase 2. That's called in English, rage. Rage is how we now respond. And the third step is holding on to it. That's bearing a grudge or resentment. Again, when we study the books in Hebrew, it's going to use the universal word ko'es, but we have to know which type of level is it referring to. The first level of just the feeling is actually kind of a reflex. It's an impulse. It's actually very hard to control, and not everyone in their life gets to perfect this level. This level was reached by very, 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 very holy people that they never even felt angry. Torah does not expect or demand everyone to achieve this level. Just getting angry, as far as a feeling, very hard to control, and there's nothing wrong, by the way, with feeling it. I want you to know, if you feel angry, it's not asur to feel it. Actually, a lot of times we repress the feeling on a subconscious level because we're afraid, oh my gosh, I can't get angry, I'm going to sin. And that's not so good, because then we can't combat it and we can't address the feeling. Instead of repressing it, we should address it. And we should understand, why do I feel like this? So the feeling of anger, and by the way, there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, and it actually happens to be that we're up to this as well in the afternoons when we're studying Pirkei Avot. And the Mishnah tells us, chapter 5, you ready? Arba midot, there are 4 types of deot, of temperaments. 4 types of temperaments. Number 1, noach lichos v'noach leratzot. One who very easily gets angered. You ever saw these people? Right? They have a very short temper. Very quick. Their fuse, the cup is always full. Any little thing, they get heated. Anything they don't like to hear, anyone upsets them, anyone says any tiny joke, they don't know how to laugh off anything. Very easy to anger. Some people, they wake up in the morning, like you could tell, they wake up angry, right? They have a very short, this is no good. Someone who gets angry very quickly, but they also get appeased very quickly. Okay, that's one level. It's not a good level. It's not a good level, because you get angry very quickly. And in that anger, you may do something that you're going to regret, and it's not always easy to fix. There's another guy who's very hard to get angry. It's very good. He's very patient. But once he gets angry, he holds on to it for a long time. Listen, I don't get angry at a lot of people, but when I do, okay, it's gonna stick. Okay? That's also not so good. He's a little bit better than the first guy. Then there's the extremes. Okay? The guy who is very hard to get angry and very easy to appease. That's a chassid, very good. And then there's the person that's very easy to get angry. He gets angry at everyone and anyone, and very hard to pacify, hard to appease. That's a rasha. Okay? And what's interesting, the chassid, the level of the righteous guy, who's hard to anger, but easily pacified. So if we're medayek, if we analyze the word hard to anger, what does that mean? It's hard to anger him. It means that he does get angry. It's just hard to. But once in a while he gets angry, and therefore, you see, implicitly at least, that there's nothing wrong with getting angry. And the tzaddikim used to pray, Hashem, please help me not to get angry, not to even have the feelings. It's again not realistic. The feeling itself is not something that we should really focus on so much. We're going to focus on today levels 2 and level 3. The reaction, how we react to anger, and the resentment, holding on to anger. By the way, it's very important, we should have begun with this. The Ramban, in his letter to his son, Igeret Ramban, and remember we quoted this in the past, how it's very important in the morning after the prayers, there's a few extra things to read that are not part of the prayers, but they're still very, very beneficial. And one of them is the Ramban's letter to his son. He wrote a letter to his son on the subject of humility. And he says to his son to read it once a week, to learn it by heart. And he says that on the day that he reads it, he will be answered from the heavens for anything which he requests. This is not some little rabbi today. This is the Ramban. Okay? And he writes the following. The opening sentence, listen well. He tells his son, Titnaheg tamid ledaber kol devarecha benachat. Speak everything calm. Always use an indoor voice. Don't, oh, what? Right? Indoor voice. Lechol adam ubchol et. Everyone, every time. Use your indoor voice. Why? Ubazeh tinatzel min hakaas, because that will protect you from getting angry. Shehi midah ra'ah, which is a very bad trait, causing a person to sin. And he goes on and says, whoever gets angry, all types of hell are controlling this person. Remove kaas from your heart. And once you're clean from anger, you'll be able to achieve humility, which is the goal. The goal is humility. But the avenue to get to humility, you got to take highway, control your anger. Okay, so that is what we are studying today. How to control, not the feeling of anger, because the feeling, like we said, is a little bit hard to control, not so realistic to control. But more important than the feeling is the reaction that we now have. Okay? Hillel HaTzadik, he reached a level that he never felt angry. A guy came to his door Friday afternoon and he asked him a question, and Hillel didn't even feel nothing. He said, ask away, everything's great, God bless you, any questions you have, right? This, of course, didn't achieve it overnight, and again, more important than working on this, we should first work on the other two parts of anger, and we'll get to this one day. The reaction that we have to anger, which is what we call in English rage, they vary depending on the severity, depending on the person. And they include things like, that already is rage. It's not a crazy level of rage, but it's rage. You could bang the table. You could shut the door tight. You could, come on, raise your voice. You can yell. You can curse. You can insult. You can hit. We can walk away in frustration. These are all different levels of rage. And some people, they have rage very, very, very quickly. Mesilat Yesharim in the chapter that's called Nekiyut. Very, very important book to study. A lot of important books to study if you haven't realized. Slowly, we're getting one by one. Says Mesilat Yesharim in chapter 11, Yesh Ragzan, there are some people that they get angry on anything. Anything small, boom, they explode. That was like the first guy, the third guy. He gets angry on everything. Right? Noach lichos. And not only that, but anytime anything is done against his wishes, anytime he's displeased, the guy, he gets so angry, so heated, and the person is capable of destroying the world. If you give him an axe, he'll break everything and everyone. Right? Any small thing, if it's not done like I want it, the way I want it, the way I need it, boom. They lose control, and you can't talk to them even. I don't want to know, don't talk to me. Right? That person, they could destroy the world. And he doesn't exercise rational control, and he's like a beast. He becomes an animal. And he could do all types of sin. And when our rabbis say anyone that gets angry, it's like they're guilty of worshiping idols, it's referring to this guy, second guy. Guy number 2, the person who loses control, whether it's of their speech or of their actions. I can't already, right? That person, that's rage. Yeah, and you feel me? Yeah, okay. So that is something that we can control and we must control. Now, it could be hard. It could require restraint, but it is doable. We have to know that it is doable. It's very, very doable to control. Now, there are people, I want to just say, that they're far, says Ramchal, they're far from this. Now, they don't get angry on everything. They're not easily provoked, but when their threshold is exceeded, right? That's the guy who we studied about. Kashe lichos. Hard to get angry. So it's very powerful because Ramchal over here in his book he doesn't quote the Pirkei Avot, but he's alluding to these levels. And he says, then there's a less severe type that he doesn't lose control, but he does retain it. And that's bearing a grudge, right? That's resentment. So, by the way, many times, and this is going back to the feeling of anger, our rage can impact our feelings. So if we control our rage, that could lead us to not even feel angry in the future. So what are some tactics to controlling our rage? Somebody upsets us, and we're ready to yell back or to scream back. So first of all, if you ever feel the tzaddikim, there was a big rabbi, I'll just find his name for you, Rav Simcha Zissel of Kelm. He would, you ready? Whenever he felt angry, okay, nothing wrong with feeling angry, but whenever he felt angry, he would have a special garment set aside. And he made an oath, he made a shevu'ah, a promise, that he would never react to anger until putting on this garment. Okay? So he felt angry, and he would say, you know what? I'm going to react. I'm going to respond. Where's my shirt? And he would go and he would look for his shirt, and already 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute. So tactic number 1, if you're feeling angry, breathe, count to 10. Just count to 10. Let it go away. Wait a minute, 2 minutes. This was actually, we spoke about it last week with jealousy. Same thing with jealousy. They touch. If a person has jealousy and they feel angry at the person and they want to do something, don't do anything. Just wait. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu says to Korach. Come tomorrow. Let's do a test tomorrow. He was praying, hoping that you wait till tomorrow. Whew, they'll calm down. Their anger will go away. Also, it's very beneficial to give the benefit of the doubt. I'll give you an example. You ever got angry? Did you ever insult somebody by mistake? I'm sure you have. I have. You said something. You didn't mean it. You find out that the person's very offended, very upset at you. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I didn't mean it like that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I want to apologize. Right? And we're hoping that the person will give us just a minute to explain ourselves, right? To explain our perspective. Sometimes we unfortunately insult people. We didn't mean it. But let me explain. Let me tell you what I meant. No, that's not what I meant. I meant it like this, right? Just like sometimes we insult people and we want them to give us a chance to explain ourselves, it's true the other way around. There could be people in our lives that hurt us and they didn't mean it. So if whoever insulted or hurt or angered, someone said something, someone did something, we should give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they feel bad. Maybe they regret saying it. Maybe they didn't mean to insult us. Maybe they wanted to apologize and they couldn't, right? Another tactic, number 3. So number 1 is wait. Number 2, give the benefit of the doubt. Number 3, put things in perspective. As an example, if a little kid insulted you, what would you do? Would you get angry and let it take over your life for the next 3 days? Honey, I don't believe it. Do you know what that kid said to me? Relax, he's 4, okay? Calm down. The kid doesn't know his aleph bet, okay? Relax, take it easy. Right? You laugh it off. Oh, cute little kid, and you go home. It doesn't bother you. Right? So sometimes, we have to realize that certain people, they're like, A, they're immature. B, maybe there's things going on in their life. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe something happened. Yes, you said hello to the person and they gave you a very cold hello. They didn't tell you good morning. Now you're upset. Okay, maybe the person is going through something right now. Maybe they're having shalom bayit. Maybe someone's sick. A lot of times you see someone who's a little bit cold, and then all of a sudden we get angry and we get nervous. Oh my God, why are they angry at me? What did I say to them? Did I ever insult them? Oh, time out. Who said they're angry at you? Who said it's your fault? Just because they were upset towards you, it doesn't mean they're upset at you. Does that make sense? Yeah? Sometimes people could be upset towards us, but it's not our fault. We didn't do anything to them. They're just, in general, they're having a bad day. So they're taking it out on everyone around them. It's not necessarily your fault. Right? It's actually a lot of arrogance. It's very arrogant when we see people who are down and we all of a sudden start thinking, oh my God, what did I do to them? Why do you think the world revolves around you? Why do you think that because someone's upset, it's because of you? Not everyone's problems is, you're right, you're not the center of the world, right? So that's number 3 or 4, what are we up to, right? Maybe something's going on in their life, put it in perspective, okay? Not only that, but it also helps to keep a diary. Keeping a diary is very powerful. Write down how you reacted on this day. Someone said this to me, and I reacted like this. That was no good. 5 minutes later, I regretted it. I shouldn't have said that. It wasn't a big deal that they spilled the milk on the floor. We cleaned it up. It was gone in 10 seconds. Maybe I didn't need to yell. Maybe it wasn't the end of the world. Maybe it wasn't something that was worth getting angry about. That is writing, keeping a diary. It doesn't have to be a diary. It could be your notes on your phone, whatever you want, right? Okay. And then number 3, there is the reaction, the resentment that we have. Okay, and this is also very, very important. So number 1, realizing that the feeling of anger is okay. Someone says something, someone hurts you, you're insulted, it's fine. But now what do? So the rage, that's the reaction, that is not allowed, that is not healthy, and that is something that we can and must control. Different ways of controlling it, either waiting, keeping a diary, give the person the benefit of the doubt, maybe putting things in perspective of, remembering when someone says something, maybe, okay, relax, they're having a bad day, right? Okay. Next, the third step to anger is holding on to anger. Okay, this is what we call resentment, and this is also prohibited. The Torah says, Lo tisna et ahicha bilvavecha. You are not allowed to hate your brother and harbor hatred in your heart. Okay? Now, this is actually a little bit harder than step 2. Because step 2, rage is an action. It's much easier to control actions, to control things that I do, the way I respond or I talk. Rage is much easier to control. Resentment. A person may say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to act out on my anger. But what do you want me to do? I'm offended. And it's hard to forget. It's hard to forget. Sometimes I can forgive you, but I can't forget. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to forget. And it's there. And this is also asur, and it's much harder to control. But the Torah forbids any form of revenge. Lo tikom velo titor. So you're not allowed to tell someone, If you ask someone, hey, could I use your car? Could I use your chairs? I have guests over. And they say, oh, no, I need them. And then you find out the next week, you had to borrow from a gemach or something. And then you find out a week later, they never ended up using their chairs. Oh my God, how disgusting. I asked them for the chairs, they don't lend it to us. They're not even using them. And, all right, you know what, you wait, right? And you're waiting for them. And all of a sudden they ring on your bell, they text you, hey, listen, I need this thing. And you're like, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't, I need it, right? Oh my gosh, I wish you asked me last week. Oh, I'm so sorry, right? That's asur, that's called revenge. Lo tikom. Not only that, even, I'll tell you, let's say, you know what? Let's say you say, you know what? I'm going to let them borrow it. I'm not a nasty person. All right, here, you need my chairs? You got it. Here are my chairs. I'm just reminding you, last time I asked you for your chair and you didn't give it to me. And look, just pay attention. I'm giving you my chairs. So just for the future, if you don't mind, maybe, right? Even that is not allowed. That's lotikom velotitor. You're not to just point out how you're better than them. And it's something that I want to just talk about for a minute. When it comes to resentment, a lot of people in our hearts that we are angry at, right? That we hold, that we have a grudge towards. And I want to tell you something. Resentment is somebody who is difficult, right? They're very difficult to provoke, but it's also very difficult to appease. That's the third level that we spoke about in Pirkei Avot. This person holds on to it forever and ever and ever, right? And I want to tell you something over here, very powerful. Harboring resentment only hurts one person. You. There is nobody that's suffering except for you. The person that you're angry towards, they moved on, they're fine, they're living life, they're happy. You are not hurting them by being resentful, by harboring hatred. They're okay. Their life is fine. The only one that suffers when we are angry and harbor hatred is us. We are the ones that end up getting high blood pressure. We are the ones that get physical illness from it. We're the ones that get a migraine or heart disease. You know what Shlomo HaMelech says? I want to read to you this pasuk. Shlomo HaMelech says in Kohelet, if you have a pasuk, a Kohelet, or if you're looking online, you could open it up. I'm opening it up as well. Kohelet, Shlomo HaMelech says in chapter 7, pasuk tet, zayin tet. He says, Ka'as behek kesilim yanuach. He says, anger abides in the breasts of fools. You know who holds on to anger? Fools. Why? Why am I foolish? Why am I foolish? It's not my fault. He angered me. They upset me. They did something that was unforgivable. Why am I a fool? You're a fool because who are you hurting with your anger? Who's suffering now? Them? No, they're not suffering. You're suffering. Every day we wake up, we're going through all, right? We can't function. We end up avoiding and leaving certain parties because, I can't stand to be with this person. Who's losing out on life? We're losing out. Instead of being able to enjoy, instead of being able to be at certain places. We go to a friend's house, we see this person, we leave. Who suffers? We'll go crying to ourselves in bed. The only one we're hurting is ourselves. Imagine you drink poison, hoping your enemy dies. Is there anything more foolish than that? You drink poison, you're going to die. Right? We are punishing ourselves for our friend's bad behavior. The person moved on, they forgot about it. Not only that, but when we harbor hatred, we are, what Rabbi Twersky says beautifully, you're giving your friend, your enemy actually, because you don't like this person, you're giving them free real estate in your mind. This is the most powerful real estate in the world, up here, okay? Whatever goes on in here is the most valuable things in the world. Okay? You shouldn't let your friend take up even 0.5%. You shouldn't let other people be the reason you wake up and you're thinking about them. That's very valuable. There was an alcohol addict. He was full of resentment. And he said, he told Rabbi Twersky, he said, Rabbi, I got to divest myself, or else I know I will start drinking my problems away and I'll go back into my addiction. And this guy realizes that holding on to the anger is only going to be self-destructive. Right? When we get angry, sometimes we eat things that are not healthy, right? Sometimes we could, go take a smoke, not healthy. We can do things that are not healthy, drugs that are not healthy. In a marriage, it's very harmful to hold a grudge, because then there's no peace, and every day just becomes this fight. And sometimes people are just living in the same house just because they have common kids, and that's it. And then when there's resentment, it's just the beginning of the end. And so we need to learn to forgive, not because of them, but for our sakes. Forgive for ourselves. The reason I forgive other people is because I need to move on. I need to just get rid of it, close the chapter, forget about it, get you out of my life, get you out of my head. I don't want to have to always have you live in me. I'm done with that. And to completely let go of it. Again, it's much easier said than done. Sometimes we need maybe to speak to someone or a professional about how to let go. And by the way, if we feel offended, someone hurt you, talk to them. Say to them, you did this to me, and I don't want it to stay around forever. And I want to forgive you. I want to like you. I want to be back on good terms with you. And the person could sit you down and say, okay, listen, and they could explain their side, and they would say, oh, you know what? I'm very happy we spoke this over. I'm very happy we had this conversation. I feel very good about myself. Right? That's one tactic. There is another tactic. Okay? And this is, again, on a higher level. Okay? But it's worth even repeating. We need to remember that as Jews, there is someone called Hashem. Right? Remember him? Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs things. And a lot of times, things go on in our lives, and we have to remember that people are ultimately puppets in God's hands. When something happens to me, I have to realize, I have to be on the level to understand that that's Hashem talking to me. When you hurt my feelings, if you cheat me in business, if you hurt me, if you insult me, a person that's on a high level realizes that's God talking to me through this person. You know who we find this by? David HaMelech. David HaMelech was on the run. He was the king, but he was on the run. He had his men, his soldiers, and he was running away from who? His son, Avshalom. And on the run, I believe it was from his son. And on the run, this man by the name of Shimei ben Gera, he comes out there, he's on the other mountain, and he screams over, and he yells, and he curses David. He curses the king. And the general says, King, let me run over there, give me 5 minutes, I'll be back with his head. 5 minutes, that's all I ask. And you know what King David said back? He says, stay, don't go. Hashem amar lo kalil. God told him to curse me. Now I guarantee you God didn't tell him to curse him, but David was on such a level that anything that happened to him, he realized that it's not the person that's doing it. Imagine I take a rock and I throw it at you. Do you get angry at the rock or do you get angry at me? You get angry at the rock or the thrower? Right? We all understand it's the thrower. If I hit you with a baseball bat, it's me, not the bat. David HaMelech realizes that it's not Shimei talking. He's only a puppet. And if I was really a good guy and I didn't deserve to hear those words, then I wouldn't hear them. If God allowed him to utter those words, it must be that I am guilty and I needed to hear them. And it's Hashem. And so you want to get angry, but get angry at God. You want to bear a grudge? That's fine, but turn it to Hashem. At least we realize it's Hashem. And once we know it's Hashem, then it's very easy to conquer. Well, why would my father who loves me do that to me? Oh, my father who loves me insult me like that. Right? We realize that it's out of love. There has to be something that's for my benefit. Yeah, so these are very powerful tactics and different ways of trying to work on our anger, trying to conquer our cause. To remember, again, there are 3 levels: feeling, the rage, and the resentment. The feeling, we don't have to worry about. We could pray for it, and we should pray, but you know what? They saw the Chafetz Chaim one time. He was praying for Hashem not even to allow him to feel angry. But if we're going to pray for Hashem to help us on level 1, we better make sure that we conquered levels 2 and 3. We dare not go and say, God, help me on level 1 before we even worked on our levels. And so first, let us focus on what we can focus on the reaction, right? By putting things in perspective, by giving the benefit of the doubt, by waiting, taking a deep breath, by writing down our diary, how we acted, and then learning from our mistakes. And finally, when we realize that, the person that I'm hurting with my resentment is only myself, and it's all just really God anyways, we'll be able to divest ourselves from these very dangerous and toxic and harmful feelings of anger. And Bezrat Hashem, we should be zochet to learn from these lessons, to stay in the middle. To stay in the middle of ka'as, not to either extreme, to always stay in the perfect, showing anger when we need to our children, or to the people that we have to reprimand, but never getting angry, just showing anger. Anger is something to be used. Either way, we'll stop over here. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.